Does your dog smell even after he or she has had a bath? There could be a medical reason for that. Let's bark about it. Welcome back to Alpha Paw, your destination for everything dog. I'm Bernie Zilio, and I'm on a mission to answer every doggone question you have ever had about your fur babies. And today, we're talking about why they might not be smelling like roses lately. Thankfully, we have an expert with us today, Dr. Ross Bernstein. Dr. Ross is a seasoned veterinary professional and pet care expert. He earned his doctorate degree in veterinary medicine at UC Davis School of Veterinary Medicine, and his work has been featured in several industry-leading publications, including the Journal of Veterinary Surgery. He is our go-to vet for everything we want and need to know about our fur babies. So welcome back to Alpha Paw, Dr. Ross.
Hey, Bernie. How you doing? Good.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Good. Okay. So today's topic, why our dogs smell. Now, I love every dog and every dog's smell because I'm a weirdo like that. But it is important to know that certain smells can be indicative of something that's going on. You know, we're supposed to be bathing our dogs regularly, taking them to the groomer, all of that. But if your dog still smells, there might be something else kind of going on here. So today's topic, I want to talk about some infections that your dog can be possessing that may cause a certain type of odor. So infection number one, let's talk about the anal glands, Dr. Ross.
The anal glands can smell even if they're not infected. But so anal glands, unlike people, anal glands and dogs have them, cats have them, a lot of other animals have them. It's actually if you take your dog and they're meeting another dog, while they're going and sniffing each other's butts, it's also to smell the anal glands. So they're little glands that sit on either side of the anus at the about 4 o'clock and 8 o'clock position, like if you're looking at a clock. And so when this is how it normally is supposed to happen. When they defecate normally, some of it should be expressed with the poop. So they should be emptying normally by themselves. But for lots of different reasons, they can become blocked, they can become infected, they can get cancers of these glands. And so if that happens, it can start to be really smelly. It can also be painful.
Okay. Well, my dog very happily joined us for this topic. Can you kind of like explain how are we supposed to distinguish like that smell versus other smells? Like how do people know if there's like an anal gland infection or if there's something going on down there?
Probably the most telltale sign is that your dog is going to be scooting, where they kind of rub their butt on the floor and then pull themselves forward on their front paws. So that's probably one of the most common signs. They can be licking the area a lot. It can be red and inflamed. If you're a very, very observant, you can look back there and see that it's very swollen and inflamed, and it can be painful even if you touch around there or touch the base of their tail. And then if it smells really bad too, that's possibly another sign.
Okay,
I don't want to start getting into the smell, but it can be all sorts of things. And if it actually has an infection, you would have the anal gland smell and the bacteria smell.
So basically, if your dog reeks, take him or her to the vet. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. I mean, if giving them a bath and doing the things that you can do, yeah, could definitely be something else going on.
Okay. And I really hate to say this, but in case it helps somebody out there, it's like a very pungent, like fish smell, and it's horrible. But when I tell you, you will know it's the anal glands. You will know. So the next infection I want to talk to you about, Dr. Ross, is yeast infections. Apparently those have a smell. I don't know that I know what the smell is, but could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeast infections, yeast is a type of fungus. It can theoretically happen anywhere on the body, but yeast likes moisture, they like warmth, and a really common place that dogs get yeast infections is in their ears. Can happen for a couple of different reasons. Some dogs, just their ears, their conformation is they hang down, they trap in water and moisture. Some other breeds, like Cocker Spaniels or just the Spaniels in general, they have extra ceruminous glands, or apocrine glands in their ears that secrete more material that can help trap in water and moisture and create a little microenvironment that is just very increases your chance of having a nice environment to grow yeast. And so if you're noticing an odor and a pungent smell and your dog is flapping their ears, scratching their head, and it smells yeasty, then they could definitely have a yeast infection in their ears.
Now, this is going to sound kind of gross, but I was also reading that yeast infections can happen like in between like the paw pads. Is that the same kind of yeast infection?
Probably. There are different kinds of yeast, but depending on, the yeast infection can happen theoretically anywhere around the body. So if they are licking their paws a lot, that can be some moisture that the yeast can have, and especially if they start breaking, if them licking or even them scratching their ears is kind of the same thing. It breaks down the skin barrier, opens it up, and allows a good place for the yeast to colonize. It's actually called, the medical word for that is Malassezia dermatitis. So Malassezia is the yeast, dermatitis is on the skin.
Okay, last question about yeast infections. I can't be the only person who's obsessed with my dog's paw smell. I think they smell like Fritos, and I love it.
Fritos.
And I can't get enough of it. Yes, I promise you, go sniff your dog's paws. They smell like Fritos or like any kind of corn chip, and I'm obsessed with it. And unfortunately, I think that's
Do
the
they
yeast
taste
that
good
I'm
too?
smelling. No, I am not eating my dog's paws. But is that yeast? Like, am I really as gross as?
Probably not.
Oh.
No.
Oh, good. Okay.
I don't know. I'm not there smelling your dog's paws, but typically it's not going to be something that you keep wanting to smell. It's malodorous. You're not going to want to smell it. I mean, maybe there's some people out there that enjoy the smell of yeast, but in general, I would say it doesn't smell good. And if your dog's, I mean, if they're licking their paws constantly, then they might have a yeast infection. If they're just doing their normal thing, then they might not have a yeast infection. They can get it developing around the nail beds. That's called paronychia. But generally, sometimes you can treat those with some wipes, some allergy medications, and an e-collar too, just so that they stop licking at it and making it worse. Kind of like if we had a mosquito bite, we scratch it. Mm-hmm. Feels good, but it makes it worse.
Okay. All right. Well, that makes sense. And I am giving you homework for the next time we chat. I need you to sniff your dog's paws and then confirm with me that they smell like Fritos. Moving on to our next infection, and it is a UTI, which is a urinary tract infection. I can personally say I have never experienced a dog having a UTI, so I wouldn't know what to look out for. But what kind of smell would that give off?
I'm not that good at describing smells like this, but yeah, if UTIs can smell bad. If they're urinating in the house and you notice the pee has a very strong smell and it's as a foul odor, they certainly could have a UTI. So that together with urinating in the house, having an increased frequency of urination, so like if they're peeing every 10 minutes, if they're straining to urinate, if there's blood in the pee, if they're licking down in that area a lot, that could definitely, those are all signs that they could have a UTI or even something else in their urinary system, like urinary stones. But foul smelling urine is typical of a UTI. If it's not foul smelling, doesn't mean they don't have a UTI. But there's thousands of different bacteria that can cause a UTI, so each one might have a little bit of a different smell.
Okay. Well, this has been very helpful. So essentially, if your dog smells in any type of abnormal way after bathing and grooming, definitely consult with your vet to see what's going on. Now, I know we mentioned only a few today, but these are kind of the rather more like innocuous, treatable types of smells that can happen, or types of infections that can happen if your dog is smelling. But I do want to talk to you about some of the more serious issues that can happen. But we don't have time for that today. So if you guys want to stick around for part 2, be sure you subscribe so you don't miss a single doggone episode, including that one. We'll see you guys next time.
Come here.
Oh my God. Like in there. Smell like the bottom.
He's like, what are you doing?
What an angel.
They very well could smell like Fritos, but like I said, my sense of smell is not perfect.